I'm talking about Donald Trump's executive order on eradicating anti-Christian bias. That order was a bone thrown to those who dream of returning to a Christian image of the past. You know the one I mean, a conservative Christian cultural hegemony where pliant children pray to a white Jesus in school, where nobody even wanted birth control, let alone abortion, where gay people, if they existed at all, stayed in the closet, and where everyone was either a woman happily trying to be more like homemaker Barbie, or a man happily trying to be more like Ken or, G.I. Joe. Trump's executive order blames, of course, Joe Biden and the Democrats for the fact that our present reality isn't like that. But here's the thing. A, obviously, it's not old Joe's fault. B, reality never was like that. And C, where we used to pretend it was like that, that pretense was maintained at a great cost in the suffering and oppression of those who did not conform to the norm. As a Christian pastor, I really don't like being lumped in with those who dream of returning to that oppressive fantasy past. To me, that has nothing to do with the teachings of Jesus, and in many ways is quite contrary to them. In fact, the federal government has done and is doing many things contrary to the teachings of Jesus. Now, of course, I'm not saying that the government in a pluralistic society like ours should conform to the teachings of my religion or of any religion. But since Donald Trump has expressed concern for us poor oppressed Christians, I think it's fair to point out how unchristian have been the actions of his government. In a previous post, I talked about how Jesus did not exclude people, did not leave anybody out, which is incompatible with the Trump administration's actions toward trans folks. Another great theme running like a golden cord through all of our stories of Jesus and through all of our scripture is compassion for the poor and condemnation of anyone who exploits them. The prophet Amos wrote, "Hear this, you that trample on the needy and bring ruin to the poor of the land, saying, when will the new moon be over so that we may sell grain, and the Sabbath so that we may offer wheat for sale? We will make the ephah small and the shekel great, and practice deceit with false balances, buying the poor for silver, and the needy for a pair of sandals, and selling the sweepings of the wheat. The Lord has sworn by the pride of Jacob, surely I will never forget any of their deeds." This golden cord, with compassion for the poor and contempt for those who exploit them, runs straight through the Hebrew Bible and straight into Jesus' ministry. And there's really no need for me to cherry-pick verses here. This is a strong theme, and you know the many stories. You know how Jesus encouraged giving and humble service at every turn. For the poor, for the sick, for the outcast, for the prisoner, for all the lame and lost. Active, practical compassion, and not mere thoughts and prayers. And you know how he encouraged those with wealth to put God and their neighbor first, and how he lamented the condition of those who wouldn't do it. He said, "No one can serve two masters, for a slave will either hate the one and love the other, or be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth." Mark chapter 6. This core teaching of Jesus is also found, of course, in Judaism and in Islam and in other religious traditions here in the United States, as well as in the ethical principles of many non-religious people. So you might expect it to be reflected in the actions of our government and our leaders, but it is not. Instead, we have a president promoting, in what he calls the big, beautiful bill, a budget that reduces food assistance and medical assistance for the poor while further enriching the rich. And at the same time, he's openly monetizing his office, auctioning off access to the highest meme coin bidder. Maybe he'll have to pull down his barns and build larger ones to hold all the money he's raking in. So President Trump is right about this. The federal government's actions have been decidedly anti-Christian. And under his administration, they are more anti-Christian than ever. It's as if he keeps asking himself, what would Jesus do? And then doing the opposite.